Well, hello. I hope you enjoy the next segment. I sure did. One of the absolute highlights of my golf life was getting to play the first two rounds of the Colorado Women's Open with Jennifer Kupcho. I was in the Pro Am. Of course, she was competing as an amateur then. And it was so much fun to play side by side and just see how my game compared to one of Colorado's all time great players. And let me tell you, it was humbling. Hope you enjoy the interview. Thanks for your attendance today. And thanks as always for your membership in the Colorado Golf Association.
So, what is your first golf memory?
Um, I think like just going out with my parents and my brother, we had a membership at Broadlands Golf Course or Club, I don't know which, but um, we had a family membership and we would just go out and play. And I think I was like five or so. And I would take my coloring books and my Game Boy. And if I didn't want to play, I would just ride along in the golf cart and do that. So that's like one of the earliest things I remember. And I think that's like a big thing that got me into it without like fully pushing me in, like you have to play with us. So
You're dating yourself there with the Game Boy comment.
yeah, that's a long time ago.
So, was it love at first sight, or did it take you a while to kind of really take to the game?
It took me a while. I think just like I got pushed into it a little bit. So at first, like anything your parents tell you to do, you're not going to like. And that's just the reality of parenting and childhood. But yeah, so I got pushed into it a little bit, but I think it grew on me as I continued to play. And like I had played so many team and like recreational sports, and like you always got trophies and like participation trophies, and you're just like, okay, like this is pointless. And at least in Colorado junior golf, like we always got first, second, third trophy. So like if you didn't play well, you weren't getting a trophy. And I think that's what I liked about it was the competitive aspect, and especially like how individual it was, and there wasn't really like referees to screw with your game. So yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. So, when did you first start working with Ed Oldham? I assume he was your first real instructor. You remember
Yeah,
what that was
I
like?
me and my brother started actually with Tim Talbot down at Meridian for a couple of years, and then we wanted something more towards up towards us, so we went to the ranch, and um, Ed was there, and I think I started with him. My brother definitely started like a year before me, but I think I started like probably around 10 or 12 with him. And I mean, it wasn't like super often just because I'm not like super technical. I just hit it and hope for the best kind of thing. So,
Your
um,
hoping works well, man.
yeah, I'm not like super technical with my swing. So, definitely not as much as my brother. So, like, I think me and Ed are definitely like, he's more of a mental coach to me. And then if something is like really bad in my swing, or like I just need a little tweak to like figure something out, it's usually a really simple correction.
Yeah, so let's go. Let's kind of run with that because let's talk about your swing, and I really am fascinated by this. So how, as you've matured as a player and obviously continue to get better and better, and how good are you at self-correcting during a round when something is going wrong? How, I've watched a lot of you on the LPGA tour, and it seems like, if you're, I always think about this with tour players. How do you self-correct?
For me, I mean, usually if I'm not hitting the ball well, it's because it started before the round. So for the most part, I usually know what's going on before I get into a round. So then if like I'm not doing it correctly or whatever, like 5 holes in, then I know what I was already doing wrong. So I can just fix it like that. But if there ever is like something that just like is completely different than I've seen before on the golf course, I feel like most of the time it's usually mental. I mean, I've practiced so much in my life that my body knows what I'm doing. So I definitely have like a couple of drills, just like counting techniques, like so that it completely takes my mind off hitting the golf shot so that I'm literally just swinging it and not having to think about it. And usually that works pretty well.
Do you have a miss that you struggle with?
Not really. It's kind of, if I'm missing, it could be either direction. Um, I would say like driver, most of the time it's right, but like other than that, it could go either direction.
Right.
Which
Right.
and it's not usually like super off, so it's not
Yeah.
like a huge deal.
So you mentioned your brother. I have to at least the sibling of of the Kupchos, Stephen and Jennifer. Who's a better player?
Um, that's hard because it's really even. Like he has some aspects of his game that are really good compared to my aspects. Definitely like since I've seen him play last, his iron game has improved a lot and his putting has always been good. So like I guess like you could say that makes him better, but he also kind of hits his driver a little all over the place, which is necessary. So yeah. That's a hard answer because we literally both just have
Yeah.
different things that we're better at. So it like kind of evens out. Like
Wouldn't it be
really
fun
close.
if there? I just thought of this. Wouldn't it be fun if there was they do the parent-child, father-son thing on it. Would it be fun if they had? I think the Kupchos would be tough to beat. Let me tell you.
Yeah, that would be fun for sure.
Yeah. Okay, so let's talk about you. You already touched on junior golf and the CJGA. You didn't play in any AJGA events, and that's for a player of your caliber. That's pretty unusual. Why was that?
Yeah, so I actually played in one, and it was the one that was in Colorado at Common Ground. And that's why I played in it, was really because it was close. It was just so expensive to travel and go play in tournaments every week, and we couldn't afford that. So, I mean, I just stayed in Colorado and tried to better my game that way, and obviously it worked. So,
Yeah. Did you kind of wear that as a chip on your shoulder a little bit when you kind of came out into the college ranks, that that you weren't necessarily, or let me change the question a little bit. Did you find that to be difficult when it came to recruiting, because the AJGA is such a, that's where a lot of the top tier colleges recruit. Was that a problem for you?
it was a little bit, just because I had reached out to some colleges and they just like came back with, oh no, we already have like our players for your year. And when they actually didn't, but that was just because they hadn't seen me play, they hadn't heard of my name. And that was kind of a bummer because obviously like my top schools that I thought I wanted to go to just like shut me down. But I think after I played in the US Girls Junior that was in Indiana in 2014 or 13, I don't know what year, but after I played in that and had so many colleges contact me from that, then I was like, it's not like, they definitely like were like a little concerned about how I was going to play on the national level and play every week in college, but I wasn't really like, I don't think I was any less than anyone else at that point.
So how did you land on Wake Forest?
They just like contacted me after that tournament. They found my swing coach, Ed, and then he contacted me and said they contacted him. And I had my top 4 schools were CSU, DU, Kansas, and then Wake Forest, which obviously all 3 were close and then really far. And I think Wake just gave me the best opportunity, just because obviously Arnold Palmer went there. They had a lot of money that like I wasn't used to, and that was going to help me to prepare the best way I could so that I could then just jump straight onto the LPGA.
So that was a goal right away. You wanted to
Yeah.
get to where you are. Yeah, it wasn't like
Yeah.
I'm going to go have some fun in college and then see. You knew what you wanted to do.
Yeah.
Yeah. So just talk about anybody who knows your Wake Forest story. What a story. I mean, talk about bittersweet. And I don't mean to, I follow you very closely, and I know, your challenge. Man, your sophomore year, your junior year, and then your senior year. So
Mhm.
just what stands out? I mean, you won, the only Colorado female to ever win the NCAAs as an individual. You came so close, could have won 2 in a row. And then obviously your senior year, that had to be pretty tough. So just talk about all of that.
Yeah, I mean, it was a long, tough 4 years. I mean, even until my senior year, my first year was awful. Like, I hated being away from home. Like, it was just a really big struggle, and I couldn't win. I think I took second 2 or 3 times, and I was just like, I was so used to winning that I was just like, why can't I win? And I think that helped me even to now, because I've taken second twice on the LPGA, and it's like, okay, well, it's not going to come. Like, it's not going to come unless you keep working harder. And so that's helpful now. But it was like hard, definitely all through college, just going through. And then I lost my sophomore year, the last couple of holes of NCAAs. And then that also really helped me to focus and work harder and listen to what the coaches wanted me to get better at, so that I could come back and win when I was a junior. And that was a huge breakthrough. It was just we were so excited, just because I had it was so awful. That year before, losing it was the biggest heartbreak of my life. It was awful. And yeah, it was awesome to come back and win that next year. And that was both those years, sophomore and junior year, were both pretty hard, because we had a struggle getting a team together. We had a lot of injuries. A lot of our star players, our star recruits coming in, were just injured and didn't want to play. And so we threw together a couple of club girls and some walk-ons, and we went with it. And I think that also really helped me to come back and win that junior year, was because we were able to put together a team of transfers that weren't super good, and then the walk-on girl from the club team. And we were able to make it to nationals as a team. And that was just really exciting to have them there. Even though we didn't make the cut as a team, they were there cheering me on as I was trying to win. And that was even after I made the double early in that round. I mean, I was down. I was I'm going to lose it again. That's kind of what was happening during the final round. And because they were there cheering me on, it helped me a lot.
But what was
Yeah.
going through your mind right afterward, and what allowed you to kind of claw your way back in?
Yeah, I mean, I was in shock after I made that double. I mean, I walked off the green, and I wasn't even mad. And I'm kind of an angry player. I was not even mad when I walked off the green. I just I looked at my assistant coach, and he had walked with me the year before when I lost. I looked at him on the way to the next tee, and I was like, Ryan, it's going to happen again. I'm going to lose. And he just looked at me, and he goes, you still have 11 holes left. You're fine. I was like, yeah, whatever. I'm going to lose. And I don't know if he went and talked to my team or what happened, but on the next hole, my team flipped a whole nother level. They were so loud. Every shot I hit, it was just you could hear it through the TV. They were just yelling, you got this, come on, that was an awesome shot. Or it was just and I think that completely changed the whole thought process of me, as oh, they're here watching me, they want me to win. Let's figure this out and go do it. So
that's what I love about college golf, is the team aspect. So Now go to your senior year. You win your junior year. You don't win the individual. Maria Fossey wins. And your team, however, has a great, you're in there. And I watched that playoff and you end up tying and then losing. And what was that like?
Yeah. I mean, honestly, like when I look back at my college career, like I kind of just like forget that we took second as a team, honestly. I think it was really just, especially in the moment, was we were so close as a team that no matter if we won or we lost, like we were going to be upset because we were so close, and they knew that, I mean, I was leaving, but then two of our seniors that weren't like playing but were spectating were leaving. So it was just like we were upset we were leaving them, and they were upset that we were leaving. Like it was just like really hard that way, regardless of if we won or lost. So I think like that's why when I look back, I'm like, oh, like yeah, we took second. But it was really fun to be in the match play. Like that was our goal from the year before with the team that shouldn't have even been at nationals, and that was like our goal for the next year is we want to get to match play. Like that looks really fun. Like that's going to be great memories regardless of how it turns out. And I think that's what made us work so hard to get there. It was just like a fun environment, and we had fun as a team.
So let's transition now into LPGA, but I can't not touch on the Augusta National. And by the way, you realize you're still the reigning Augusta National women's amateur champion because of COVID. So I joked with you and said, maybe you should get your amateur status back and see if you can go back and defend. I mean, that story, I mean, I just gotta, I mean, I don't know how to really frame a question here. That's the stuff of legend, what happened there. I mean, that's a Hall of Fame story. And yeah. I don't know if you realize that. And if it sort of hit you now after all this time, that you accomplished something that's going to be hard to top, frankly, for that tournament. The way you won, you and Maria coming down, the camaraderie you showed, the migraine. I could easily take an hour just to talk about that, but because we have more ground to cover here, just what when you reflect on that now, how do you feel about that, and what else? Maybe some insights into that win that maybe people don't know. I don't know. Whatever comes to mind.
Yeah, I mean, it was a really fun week. I mean, before the tournament and like the invitations came out, like I wasn't gonna play in it, and it wasn't until probably a month after that I had to call up the tournament director and actually be asked to be let back in the field, because I had turned it down already. And like I think a lot of people don't know that, and it was really just like I was so committed to playing with my team that we had so many events coming up and that spring season, and I was just like, I'm not gonna be able to play all these. And I came back to school to play for my team. So like I feel bad going and putting my time elsewhere when that's what I came back for. Like I'm committed to this team. I can't like tire myself out and not be better for them. So like a lot of people don't know that, but yeah, I mean, once I decided to play, like obviously I don't regret it now. It was a great experience. And I mean, especially even like playing in front of all those people, like it's really nerve-wracking, and I hadn't had that type of environment before. So that definitely has helped me. I mean, not this year because we don't have fans, but it did help me when I first came out to the LPGA. And I mean, even now, like Maria and I still joke, like, good luck to all those girls next year. They're not going to be able to like live up to what we just did. Yeah. So we're definitely both excited to watch and see. There's no way it can be more entertaining, but like if they can make it half as entertaining, I'll be proud of them.
You know me, Jennifer, I love the caddy story. Caddying is a big part of the CGA's mission. And I know this, and this to me, I just think it's amazing. that you with the migraine, you could not see. I mean, you were really, so you really had to lean on your caddy. And I love that story. And I wonder if it hadn't been for the migraine, and as you look back on that, maybe you wouldn't have won, because it put a trust level into your caddy's reads on those, some of those putts that maybe you would have second guessed. Would you agree with that?
For sure. For sure. I had played, my Wake Forest team 2 years before had went and played at Augusta, and that was actually the caddy that I had there the 2 years before. And so I actually requested him for the tournament just because I knew he was really good at reading greens. I knew he knew the course. And so when I got out there and got that migraine, I knew I could trust him. But you're right, like after those 3 holes, like obviously I had to trust him because I couldn't do anything. Like I couldn't read the greens. So after trusting him on those 3 holes, then when I got to like 13 and I saw it breaking one way and he was like, no, it's breaking the other way. Like that was a really big turn of events for me to make that putt. And I think if I didn't have that migraine, I did trust him, but like I don't think I would have been like, okay, like I'll play it where you want me to.
Yeah.
It just like changed that mindset a little bit.
Yeah, I love it. Okay, so now let's talk. You go to Q school, and our sequence may be a little bit off here because I can't recall exactly what happened. It's not important. So you finished second at Q school. Unbelievable.
Yeah.
And so now you have a decision to make. Do you go back for your senior year, or do you turn pro? So just talk about the Q school experience and why you decided to go back and give up, frankly, some really critical starts on the LPGA tour. That's gonna, that had to be a tough decision.
Yeah, I mean, when I went to Q school, I mean, it was a battle. It was 2 weeks and 8 days of competition in those 2 weeks and 2 different courses. So you had to learn them. And I mean, it was a battle every day. The weather was not great. I had food poisoning. It was just like a big disaster, but I just fought through. And I mean, I still think to this day, anytime something is not going my way, like I'm hurt or injured or sick or whatever, like I always play better. So I think that like I always focus harder and like I'm like just hit the shot and then like you can worry about your body or whatever. So I mean, it was a struggle and it was awesome, but yeah, after that I had full status to go straight and play. And I think just after going through the first 3 years of college and then seeing the complete like change of how much I got along with my team and how much fun we were having through that fall semester, because we played 3 events and then I went to Q school in October. So I had those like August to October to like get to know the team and like realize we were going to be good. And I think for that, like mainly for that reason was I wanted to go back and compete with them as a team, just because I hadn't had a team yet. And when you come out on the LPGA, I knew you were going to be like, you're always by yourself. So I didn't want to miss out on really that team aspect of golf. And obviously getting the education is a bonus, but that was not really a huge decision maker. It was mostly just like going back and playing with my team.
Yeah. So I lose track because of COVID and just a lot of things. So did you just finish your first year, your second year on the tour? I'm a little lost. Sorry.
Yeah. So I played the second half of 2019. So that was year 1. And then 2020 was year 2.
Okay.
Even though they were both like half seasons.
Yeah, right. That's exactly right. So again, the LPGA is you're still very early in your career. Who's impressed you the most among your peers out there? Is like, holy cow, this player is really, really good. Anybody stand out?
I think Se-Young Kim, like she's always up on the leaderboard, and when she's in the lead, like it's by a couple of shots. Like she just like blows out the field. Like I feel like more times than not. It's ridiculous. And you're just like watching it on TV and you're just like, I just missed the cut and she's like 16 under. I don't understand. So
So have you played with her, I assume?
I have. I played one round with her, and it was actually the Saturday of KPMG this year that she won eventually. But
So
I
when you
think
get
I
to
took
see
top
her,
10. So
when you see her up close, what impresses you?
she makes a lot of putts, and she hits the ball like pretty close to the hole. Like her proximity to the hole is
Yeah.
really good.
And I asked you that kind of to prepare for this. What do you think makes, and this is a really an unfair question because you can't generalize, but let's be honest, the South Korean players they're unbelievable. You look at a leaderboard and there's South Korea, South Korea, South Korea. Why do you think that is?
I think like growing up, they get sent to a golf school. Like I don't think there's a whole lot of actual education there. I think it's mostly just go play golf and figure out how to be good at it. And I think like that's one of the biggest things. But I think that's also why you see them like burn out so easily, or just like they're so good for a couple of years and then they're just like gone. Like, for example, I mean, MB Park is still up there every once in a while, but like she used to be like unbelievable. Like you saw her every single week up on the top of the leaderboard, and now like she's there, but she's not always there. So I think like it's just like a burnout thing. Versus I think you see like USA people, for example, Stacey Lewis, like she's been up there and she's been up there for quite a while. Like she's
Right.
always around.
Do you find that I've always been curious, is in terms of camaraderie, is there sort of a little silo over here with the South Korean women that they kind of stay to themselves and don't socialize with? And I know COVID makes socializing impossible, so maybe it's unfair to ask, but do you feel like it's that way, or is that, is it pretty much we're all in this, that you don't have those separations?
I think there's separations. I mean, everywhere. There's definitely like the South Koreans that don't speak English, like, but they kind of, I feel like all the South Koreans, like, unless there's a rain delay, I feel like they don't hang out with each other. Like they're just like by themselves doing their own thing, which is true for some of the USA girls, or like any European girls. But like, I just don't think they hang out that much. They're over here to do a job, and that's what they do.
Right. Okay, so now let's talk about you've had a couple second place finishes. I just personally think it's only a matter of time before you break through. Do you feel pressure to win, or is it just kind of it'll happen when it happens?
I think just it'll happen when it happens. It's really hard to win out here. I mean, there's girls that have been out there for years and they still haven't won. So I think it's just being patient, and especially after being in contention for 2 tournaments now, and even like the top 10s that I've taken, like when you win, like you're on and you don't make any mistakes. Like that's pretty much how it is out here. So if you think about like every single round, like don't make any mistakes, like that's not how it's going to work. And I even learned like ShopRite, the one that I took second this year, the very first hole of the tournament, I missed a 2-footer for par, and like I still took second. So like you can't think about everything going forward. Like you just have to go out and play and try to make as many birdies as you can. Like the courses are scoreable, so you just have to. It's whatever sets up to your eye and how you play.
I think I know the answer to this. If you could only win one tournament on the LPGA Tour, what would it be?
Everyone says the US Open, but I mean, that would be cool, but I think any of the other majors are great too. I mean, I would really like to win at Evian just because I really like that golf course and it would be really fun. But obviously, the celebrations in the US with the US Open, like all my friends are here. So it would be a
Yeah.
little bit more fun to win there. But
Yeah. All right. So wrap up questions. Let's talk about life. You know, how long do you want to play professional golf? What do you like to do when you're not playing golf? And where does golf fit into your long-term plans as a human, not just golfer?
yeah. Well, I've always said like I don't want to play golf my whole life, and I think that's still probably very true. I mean, I would like to, obviously not any time in the near future, but be married and when I have kids to not be out on tour would definitely be my preference. Um, I think I just like would like to see my kids grow up kind of thing. Um, and I mean, other than that, like when I'm not on the golf course, I actually have gotten into gaming a little bit, um, like playing Fortnite and some other games, Mario Kart, etc. kind of stuff. I mean, it's just like a fun way when you're on the road by yourself, especially this year, it's been really hard because we can't go hang out with anyone. So I think that has made it great because I don't want to sit and like FaceTime my friends all the time because like what are you going to talk about for that many hours? So that has been a great way where we're doing something interactive, but we can still like be talking if we want to talk. So that's been really fun. I like to play games a lot, board games, card games. Obviously, I can't do that on the road, but then I took a little bit of a break from reading from college, but recently I started reading more books, just like not anything that's educational, just like for fun books. So
Good. So as far as COVID, have you remained healthy? I hope you haven't.
yeah,
Yeah.
I haven't gotten it yet, at least that I'm aware of. So
Yeah. Do you know a lot of your peers on the tour that have gotten COVID?
yeah, there's quite a few girls and caddies that have both had it. And I mean, even a couple of girls at my club have had it when we haven't been on tour, but they've gotten it during off season or whatever. So, yeah, but no one has really been, I haven't heard of anyone that's been like badly affected by it. So,
Yeah.
that's good.
All right. I meant to ask you this. So you mentioned marriage and kids. Are you making progress on that? Do you have a significant other that, if you don't mind sharing?
I do, yeah. We've been dating since last March, so we're getting close to a year. I met him actually at my course. He works down here as like the outside services cart area. He was trying to play professionally, and then kind of when he met me, just like saw my brother and how much he practices it and realized that that's probably not the way for him. So he's working on figuring out what he wants to do with his life other than that.
Well, if he's smart,
Yeah.
he'll support you. And
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So
That's awesome. Well, Jennifer, this has been so much fun to connect with you. I know you know this, but on behalf of the CGA, our staff, our board, all of our volunteers, we are so proud of you and just beam with pride to watch you and see you continue to do so well. So you're a great ambassador for
thank you.
Colorado Golf. Yeah.
Thank you.